What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 5 of the Wilbur and Gold Show. Fun fact about the number 5, it has been worn. It seems to be a popular number amongst all the great Tar Heel point guards of all time. Maybe I shouldn't say all time, but some of the great Tar Heel point guards. Ty Lawson, Marcus Page, Kendall Marshall. I could go on, but we got shit to do, so let's go. Hope all of you had a great Thanksgiving. I know I did. Probably ate a little too much fudge. That's probably... I want to say that's probably my favorite part of the holidays is fudge because my aunt makes a lot of fudge specifically for me. In fact, I don't think I can get it out without messing with my camera here, but yep, not happening. But we're going to make it happen because I want fudge. Just a second. All right, now that we got that out of the way, I do really hope all you guys had a great Thanksgiving. What a great week of football. I mean, the Patriots lost, the Cowboys lost, and Lamar Jackson's human video game. What more could you ask for? Now, it wasn't good for my Panthers, and your Panthers if you're a Panther fan, because we got some shit to talk about there, which we will get into today. And we're going to talk about some fun stuff a little later on with the potential comeback of NCAA video games, which I'm extremely excited if that happens. But first, let's talk about the Panthers a little bit. I mean, it looked like when Cam Newton, went out and they put him on IR and we put in Kyle Allen, it looked like it was going to work out because he went 4-0, won 4 straight games. And then now it's just like, I don't know, there's some problems. I mean, they're 5-7 overall, and they're third in the NFC South division. And you can pretty much say the season's done. After the loss to the Falcons 3 losses ago on this 4-game losing streak, I thought that was pretty much the nail in the coffin. 1, it's a division rival, and 2, the Falcons are trash this year. And if you're losing to them, I don't know what to tell you. If they would have beat the Saints, then, because the Saints lead the division, they're one of the better teams in the league. You play them one more, you were at New Orleans in that game, and you play them one more time in Charlotte, you might have snuck it your way to winning the division. I don't know if you would have gotten the wild card, but you might have won the division. But, they lost to the Falcons, the Saints, and then the other day to the Redskins, who's one of the worst teams in the league, and that... Even now, technically, they're mathematically not out of it, but they're out of it. And owner David Tepper, he even came out and said he's not going to settle for mediocrity. He doesn't talk to the public that often, or to the media, I should probably say. He doesn't. But he came out a couple weeks ago in a press conference and basically said, maybe a slight little nudge to Ron Rivera, who's struggling, David Tepper is not going to settle for mediocrity. Fun fact, not even 30 minutes after filming this episode, Ron Rivera got fired as head coach of the Panthers. So there's that. From what I can tell, he's a very, very good businessman. In fact, he's trying to bring an MLS soccer team to Charlotte and build a new stadium for all that. Great businessman. But when the Panthers' all-time record is 195-201, that's pretty much the definition of long-term mediocrity. And I think the Panthers are really at a crossroads now. I mean, they're going to miss their second straight playoff. And that's 3 of the last 4 years that they've missed the playoff, by the way. They made a wild card game in 2017 against the Saints, lost. And other than that, that's the only time they've been to the playoffs since going to the Super Bowl. So, here's the best way. I mean, the Panthers have a lot of decisions to make. Here's the best way to look at it, I think. The Panthers are at an intersection. Or if you want to look at it another way, the scene from The Wizard of Oz where they're in the haunted forest and the signs are pointing in whatever directions. You could go to the witch's castle that way. You could go back out of the forest where you probably belong. So you got to figure this out. And when you don't know which way to go or what decision to make, you have to use whatever data you currently have to make the best choice and go. So here's some of the Panthers' data as they are in this position and even more so once the season ends, that's when it's crunch time to start making some of these decisions. It's time to start really thinking about them now, but once the season ends, that's when it's time to go. So Kyle Allen he's done everything he's been asked, but I don't know if it's just because he's young and it's growing pains, or if this is just who he is, which is a good, solid backup in the NFL. Like, I love Kyle Allen as a player, as a guy, but at this point, he just looks like a very, very good, solid backup. I don't think he has the juice to be a franchise starter in this league. And he fumbles a lot. He's had that issue since college, from what I can tell. Some of the homework I did, he's had that issue since college, just can't quite hang on to the ball. And it's been really an issue all year with the Panthers. Here's another potential road or path you could go on. If you cut or trade Cam Newton, who is on season-ending IR, we won't see him again until maybe next year, maybe. If you cut him or trade him somewhere, let's take a look. In fact, I have a list here of some quarterbacks potentially that the Panthers could get instead. Not necessarily traded for, or maybe just, picked up off of free agency. Either one, they could potentially end up with some of these quarterbacks, and I like to think I have this list ordered from least likely to most likely. So here it is. Number 1, Dak Prescott. I doubt it. I doubt that's going to happen. He's been too solid for the Cowboys. Jerry Jones really likes him, and, when Jerry Jones likes you, you could be straight trash, and if he likes you, you're going to keep your job for a decade. Just look at Tony Romo and Jason Garrett. I think at the end of the season, you're going to say bye-bye to Jason Garrett finally, because you're getting some sort of an idea after 10 years of mediocrity that he's not the guy, even though you would think it would take a shorter amount of time than that. I don't think they're going to fire Jason Garrett before the end of the season, just because the NFC East is so trash. The Cowboys might still win the division and make the playoffs, and I don't think Jerry Jones wants to rattle everything up right before going into the playoffs. I think he'd rather wait till the end of the season to do that. So Dak Prescott, not likely. He's probably going to sign his deal with the Cowboys. Tom Brady. That ain't happening either. There's been a lot of speculation, selling his home in Boston or Brooklyn or wherever it is. Look, he's 42. He's looking less and less elite by the game. And I think he's either going to stick with the Patriots or retire after this season, because he has a void in his contract next year where he could choose to go somewhere else. But I'll say this. I would not put it because Tom Brady's so competitive. I wouldn't put it past him for him to just go somewhere else, because there's all this stuff about, Belichick is the reason he's so successful. I wouldn't put it past him. He would go somewhere else just to prove to everybody it's me. It's not Belichick. Maybe, but he ain't going. I don't think he's going to the Panthers. Eli Manning. Gotta hope they don't get him. Eli Manning, I don't think he's going anywhere. Because I think he's the best backup quarterback in the league that you could get, and I think he's going to stick with the Giants because of that, and because he's so close with Daniel Jones already, and I think he's going to mentor Daniel Jones, so I don't think he's going anywhere. Tua Tagovailoa. I guess I said that right. Tua Tagovailoa. Alabama's quarterback that's going to have hip surgery of some kind. I think I fucking kicked my camera. Let's get that nice angle going again. There we go. Let's try this one more time. Tua Tagovailoa, Alabama's quarterback. Got it. Alabama's quarterback that's going to have hip surgery. Again, he had to have some type of surgery, or he got hurt last year as well. I think, right now, the Panthers have the 12th pick in the draft. I think his draft stock could potentially drop a little bit because he's been hurt, so other quarterbacks have had a chance to put their stock up while he can't do anything about it at this point. And Alabama's not going to make the college football playoff, and so that's even more time for other great quarterbacks in the league to boost their stock while Tua has to sit and watch. So I don't think Tua will necessarily drop to 12, but I think if the Panthers could realize that, hey, we got a problem here at quarterback. Maybe we tank since we're not going to make the playoffs. Let's not live life in the middle. Let's be one extreme or the other. We're either going to go all into the playoffs or we're all in on getting our next quarterback here, assuming you don't start Cam Newton. And even if you do, a great backup for when Cam's no longer the option. Whatever it is, maybe tank and see if you can get Tua. I mean, right now, the Panthers at that 12th pick, they're behind the Bengals, the Dolphins, the Chargers, and the Jags, who are all going to maybe consider taking a quarterback. So, I don't know. That's possible, but we'll see. Next up, Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers, he's 38, almost 39, and he's approaching that Tom Brady playing way late in his career mode. And to me, and I think you guys would agree, the Phillip Rivers-Chargers relationship is getting a little stale. I mean, the Chargers find new ways to lose every week. And I just think, Rivers is on the last year of his contract, and I think it might be time for the Chargers to, or Phillip Rivers for that matter, to make this decision, to move on to something else. I think it might be time to do that. And keep in mind, Phillip Rivers, he played his college football here in North Carolina at NC State. And, he might want to have that potential storybook ending to his career where he comes back to the Panthers, his home state. I don't know if it's his home state, but it's his college state. And attempts to lead the Panthers to their first Super Bowl under his watch. That's about as storybook ending as, Derek Jeter is as much storybook of a career as you could ask for. But that would be a very storybook ending to Phillip Rivers' career if he could do that. So we'll see. But the only quarterback that I'm aware of, and if there's somebody else that I missed, hop in the comments and talk to me. I'll talk back. Teddy Bridgewater could potentially be the best, most likely option if the Panthers were to go and search for another quarterback. He proved himself this year with the Saints, went undefeated as the Saints starter in Drew Brees' absence. I'm pretty sure he was undefeated. I don't think he had any losses. He's kind of been down and out with injury troubles the last handful of years, and he finally got his opportunity this year, and he shined. However, when Drew Brees is the starter and one of the best quarterbacks of all time, you're going to have a hard time starting over him. Anybody would. So his contract with the Saints will be up at the end of this year, and so he probably will be on the market. I don't know if they'd re-sign him or not. I think he'll probably be on the market, and he's a great game manager, and he can run, and he did really well for the Saints this year. So I think he could be a good potential option for the Panthers. And keep in mind, Norv Turner, the offensive coordinator for the Panthers, was the offensive coordinator for the Vikings when Teddy Bridgewater was there. So that's just a potential detail that could help make that happen. So that's my list. A lot of those unlikely, but a couple, the last three, Mariota, Rivers, and Bridgewater, I could definitely see. And hell, if the Panthers drop low enough, if Tua were to drop low enough in the draft and the Panthers were to tank the rest of the year, they might be able to get Tua. So, I don't know. We'll see. But I think the main thing here is if you decide to keep Cam Newton, that's kind of the final option that, in my personal opinion, and I know there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of Cam hate, and, I've talked about it before. It just, look at what you got with Cam Newton. When Cam Newton is healthy, keywords there, I'm not ignorant. I realize his health has been an issue. I'm not just up here spewing, saying, oh, well, he's been hurt. So the keywords, when Cam is healthy, I think he's one of the top 10 8 quarterbacks in the league, if not higher. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he is 100% healthy, which he has not been in a couple years now. He hasn't been healthy since he took that hit from TJ Watt against the Steelers, and that's when all this shit started, because the Panthers were 6-2 at that point, and Cam Newton was having one of the best seasons, even passing the ball, of his career. He's never been a great passer, but that was one of his better passing years, was that year. And so when he's healthy, keywords when he's healthy, he's one of the best in the league. He took the Panthers to a Super Bowl appearance. They didn't win against the Broncos, but they 15-1 season, got to the Super Bowl, was a possession really away from, winning. He was the 2015 MVP. And when you look at how the Panthers played in 2015 and how he played in 2015, that really kind of set the blueprint for what you're seeing this year from Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, this running threat of an offense. The Panthers, the Ravens and Lamar Jackson this year are the Panthers and Cam Newton of 2015. And it's that, you can go back and look, they're identical. In fact, the only difference is the Panthers had a better defense then than the Ravens do now. But regardless, they're both incredible teams. And so you have to look at that. If you're the Panthers, don't fall into this trap of either one, which now I don't know if you can honestly say with a straight face that Kyle Allen's the future, maybe the future backup, but you can't say that he's the future of this franchise at starter. You can't. Don't fall into the trap of moving off of Cam too early. A lot of teams in the NFL, they make the mistake of holding on to a quarterback too long. The Panthers could potentially be the rare circumstance where we see a team get rid of him too early and jump the gun a little bit. David Tepper, you don't want to make that mistake, because if you're gonna cut somebody, if you're gonna fire somebody, if you're gonna have a problem with something, and us as fans, our first instinct, get rid of him, fire him. All right, do you have a solution though? We can fire him. We can do that tomorrow. Do you have a solution though? There's not a lot of good, I listed quarterbacks. There's not a lot of good quality, there's not a lot of quarterbacks in there that has the juice that Cam Newton does. There just isn't. The Panthers have really a lot, except for a run defense and an O-line that's been garbage, which if you are going to keep Cam Newton, and if you are going to allow Cam Newton to do what he does, he's a dual threat. He's going to run. He's taken some of the worst hits we've seen and some of the most hits we've seen a quarterback ever take in the NFL. If you are going to do that, you better put some money in that O-line, because right now, that O-line couldn't protect anybody. I would have more luck putting up a piece of tissue paper in front of Cam Newton than that Panther O-line. That's how trash they've been. So look at what you have in Cam, and keep in mind, there's a common misconception about Cam Newton. He's got one more year on his deal. He's going to make $20 million next year. $20 million a year. We're acting a little bit like Cam Newton's last year was this year, and they've got to decide right now if they're wanting to extend him or not. He's got a year left. You're getting a bargain out of Cam Newton right now at $20 million. He's not asking you for $120 million. He's got $20 for one more year. So it's been a little bit miscommunicated, some of this situation. Now, some other potential details that you throw into the mix, you're going to have to pay McCaffrey either this offseason or next. I'm pretty sure he's entering the 4th year on his 5-year rookie deal next year. I think he's making $4 or $5 million. He's gonna want to be taken care of like all these other running backs we've seen. Ezekiel Elliott this year, Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley. He's gonna want that same treatment because McCaffrey's one of the best in the league. He might even, I don't know if he's gonna win the MVP, but he's right up there in the conversation. I think Lamar Jackson or Russell Wilson's gonna take that, but he's right up there in the mix. And so now, if you want to talk about somebody who does more for their team than anybody, I think that's McCaffrey for sure. And maybe that should be the definition of MVP. I don't know. But I don't think you'd go wrong with any of those choices. But McCaffrey's going to have to be paid. The O-line's going to have to be taken care of. The defense has been solid this year. It's fell off, especially the running defense. It's fell off here lately. You're going to have to pay to keep that together and add to it. All right, I'm going to finish off with this. So I think we can all agree, us video game fans, we can all agree that college sports games were some of the most fun video games to play in our childhood, if you're from that era. The last one was made in 2014. It was NCAA Football 14 for the PS3 and the Xbox 360. That was the last one, and then EA Sports, who was the maker of all the NCAA sports games, they stopped making it because there was some, I don't know, and again, I don't like to talk about a lot of things that I'm not as well educated about. The only thing I can really get into confidently in detail about the whole name, image, likeness, and players receiving third-party money is that, there's a misconception that the players would be receiving said money from the institutions, the colleges, which is not true. They would be, all it would be is they would be able to receive that money from a third party. In other words, if I'm an athlete, college basketball, college football player for a school, and I'm, one of the one or two best on the team, and so there's a lot of recognition, name recognition, likeness recognition there. Let's say, in this case, we're talking about college basketball or football video games. If they wanted to use said player on the cover and pay him for that endorsement, they could. That's third-party money. If so-and-so wanted to make shirts with your face on it, they would pay you for that, to endorse you like that, and so that would be you getting third-party money. That's really all it comes down to. They're not getting paid by the colleges. That's not a thing. And so that's a misconception, and that's ultimately what happened, and that's why college video games went away, is because I think somebody or multiple players who were like on the cover, they were kind of wanting to see hey, can we get paid for this? Because hey, I'm selling all these video games with my face on it. I think I should be getting a chunk of the money, and that's against the rules. And so that was the whole kind of falling out, and that's why it went away. Now, 2K and Madden football, 2K basketball, they have some story mode type things where you can create your own player and take them through college, play some college games, and then go to the NBA or NFL draft, and then play out rookie league, and then into the regular season and make the real team, and kind of a story mode type thing. But the colleges you can choose from are so slim, and even then it's not an actual college video game experience like we're used to seeing. And there has been some pushback to players being able to receive money because, in fact, to be more specific, coaches like Jim Boeheim, Syracuse basketball coach, Mac Brown, UNC football coach, a lot of coaches, they've said, well, if players can receive money now, well, what about all the if the best players are making all the money, what about the players that are, a little bit lower than the top players? But to me, it's just well, that's capitalism. Isn't that how the real world works? The best makes the best. The best makes the best money. The most attractive, the most charismatic get the best girls or guys. That's just how it works in the world. The best gets the best, and if you're not good enough, work harder or do something else. That's just kind of the ruthless way to put it, I guess. But you all know that's true. That's just how it works. And so, I don't see why that would be any exception. The better players get the better money or the better opportunities. It's no different like a coach puts out the best players in the lineup, and the other players, the backups, they don't get as much playing time. That's how it works. That's how that's how it goes from the time that they're in travel AAU ball at 12 and 13 years old. So that's just kind of my spiel on that. Like I said, I'm not that, I don't know all the details of it, but those are the few things that I could get into with you. And I actually have a question for you as we wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for watching, by the way. I want to get the comment section going and get more opinions in here than just mine, because I want this to be an actual community where your comments and your feedback really works its way into the show. And so in the comments, this is what I want to know. 1, what's the best Thanksgiving food? 2, what do you think the Panthers should do? Should they keep Cam Newton? Should they move on from Cam Newton? Should they get somebody in the draft? Should they go and get somebody in free agency? Also, completely off topic, but this kind of links into Thanksgiving, and I kind of meant to mention this at the start of the show. What was the weirdest thing you saw on Black Friday? Like, we go from loving each other and being all cuddly and giving thanks for each other on Thanksgiving to literally not even 24 hours later, we're beating the shit out of somebody over a television. So I'm kind of curious, voice crack. I'm kind of curious, what was the weirdest thing you saw on Black Friday? And then lastly, what was your favorite college sports video game of all time? The best one. This one's a big one. I want your feedback on this one. Me personally, my favorite was NCAA Football 13 on the football side of things. That one had RG3 when he was at Baylor on the cover. And then my favorite basketball, definitely College Hoops 2K7 with JJ Redick at Duke on the front. That was my go-to basketball game. And that's probably my favorite college sports game, period, of all time. And so I want to get all your feedback as much as possible on those things. Let me know how I did. Let me know how this can be better. And until next time, this has been the Wilbur and Gold Show. You guys have a good day.